Hello, friends and movie lovers, and welcome to More Movies Podcast, number 56.
James, make a note. President Thomas in 56 refuses to eat.
This is the podcast where we like to talk about the films we've been watching, any movie news, cinema-related stuff, anything we fancy, really. My name's Greg Fisher. His name is David Roberts. How are you doing this week, Dave?
I'm pretty damn well, sir. I'm pretty damn well. How are you?
I'm not so bad myself, my friend, thank you.
Good,
All the better for
good.
seeing you. So this week we're going to be going over the Oscar nominations, which came out last week or something like that. So we'll go over them, have a little bit of a chat about it, if you fancy that, which we usually do every year. And our movie of the week this week, we're going to be talking about The Banshees of Inisherin. Okay, so The Banshees of Inisherin, 2022. It's directed by Martin McDonagh. It stars Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. That's bringing back those three together after they did In Bruges, which was in 2008. So it's been a little while, 15 years or so, 14 years, whatever.
Quite a while ago.
The synopsis on the IMDb says, two lifelong friends find themselves at an impasse when one abruptly ends their relationship with alarming consequences for both of them.
Dun, dun, dun.
But that's basically it, isn't it? You know, when we start the film, Colin Farrell's character, Podrick, he goes calling on his friend there, Colin, played by Brendan Gleeson. You're coming down the pub. Let's go down the pub. And at 2:00 every day, they go down the pub and have a few pints. And that seems to be like their sort of like rinse and repeat lifestyle. But when the film starts, he goes to ask Colin if he's going to the pub. He's not having it, is he? He's just not interested. And it basically turns out he turns around and says to him, you know, I just don't like you anymore. And he's like, what? What's going on here, poor old Podrick? So he's sent into a tiz, doesn't know what's going on. His best mate says he doesn't like him anymore. Be like you know, signing into the podcast. I just don't want to podcast with you anymore, Greg.
Just don't like anybody. You're fucking boring.
But yeah, you know, when I first heard about the film, to be honest, I wasn't super excited about it. I just thought, okay. Looks a little bit pastoral. Looks a little bit sort of like, looks very Irish, which is, you know, no problem there. But, you know, just sort of maybe a little bit slow, a little bit, may I even say boring, I thought it might be. This is kind of like, you know, couldn't have been more wrong in the long run, because I thought it was fantastic, really funny, quite sad as well in places, quite, you know, poignant.
Yes. I think I felt the same as well. I was looking at it thinking, is this just going to be one of them kind of, you know, serious dramas that's been talked about, and it's going to be a little bit dull, in honesty, but, you know, ticks all the boxes.
Yeah.
But actually couldn't have been more wrong, really. I think once it gets going after the first 5 minutes, it's deeply dramatic in one way, bloody hilarious in the other. It's got all that Irish dark humour, kind of working class humour scattered in, you know. Yeah. Just through what they're saying. It's very well written.
Yeah.
And yes, deeply tragic by the end of it as well. And, you know, and it's really down to it's just great writing and it looks beautiful and all them things, but ultimately it's fantastic performances from everyone all round that you really buy into what they're doing here.
Yeah, absolutely. So this takes place during the Irish Civil War. I think we're around 1921, somewhere there, while it's all going on. Now, the characters in the film, they live on a small island called Inisherin. Haven't done my due diligence, and I'm not sure whether it's a real island or not, but I think it's probably a made-up island for the sake of it.
It's fictional, yeah.
So they're off the mainland, and, you know, off in the distance, they can see the mainland from parts of the island, and you see the battles going on. You see there's you know, trouble. In a sense, that kind of represents their isolation from the modern world and what is going on in it. They're very much in a small community, a small island community. Everybody knows each other's business. Not much goes on, you know, going down to the pub every day for a couple of jars and having a bit of a jam with the old fiddles and everything. That's pretty much as good as it gets for the people on the island. There's not a lot doing, is there? And basically, Brendan Gleeson's character is he's got, in a sense, he's got sort of grander designs, hasn't he? He's a bit more artistic. He writes music, he writes songs, and he's got to a stage in his life where he feels like he is sick and tired of the same old humdrum, everyday kind of shenanigans, and he wants a bit more from life. And one of the things he does to try and improve his lifestyle is by cutting off poor Podrick. Now, Colin Farrell's character, Podrick, he's a lovely guy. There's no edge to him. He lives with his sister in this little cottage, doesn't he, with his donkey and his horse and whatnot. And he's got a very simple lifestyle, simple tastes. He doesn't have any of these grand designs that he wants to be, anything more than that which he is. His simple existence on the island's enough for him. So he cannot understand for the life of him what the hell is wrong with Colin, why the hell he's being like he is. And, that's how we start to get into the story, isn't it? Colin pushing him away, but Podrick keeps coming back saying, he's thinking it's a joke at first because he realizes on the calendar after the first day that the day before was April 1st, and he thinks, he's just having me on, pulling me leg. And no, unfortunately, he's not. He's very serious about the fact that he doesn't want to be mates anymore.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of dichotomy, isn't it, with those two, because it burrows into, I guess, everyone's psyche in terms of the two characters represent our lives. We're jealous in one way of Colin Farrell's character, how we'd wish to be so happy and content with life, the simplicity that he just enjoys it and carries on with it, nothing to worry about. Yeah. But we all have that other thought in our head, which is the Brendan Gleeson character of, what am I going to be remembered for? What is the purpose of my existence sitting here when all I'm doing every day is the same old crap, And that's kind of the interesting parallels that hit you as you're watching them, kind of debates the whole thing. And they play it off so well, it's so simple in one way, but it's one of those things that's so real, it's so down to earth in terms of, you just get bored of someone, or friends fall out or whatever over the most mundane and silly of things, kind of. And it's certainly an interesting look at kind of futility and what's the meaning of it all, because it's representing there the kind of, they're on this island where it's because it's very self-sufficient, isn't it? And it's a very, isolated place, so that, they're not involved in the modern drama of the world. No. So it very much represents kind of what is the purpose of life. We're distilling here down to the most basic elements, what is it supposed to be then, and it's a really interesting study in that way.
Yeah, it's like this little microcosm that they live in. Like you said, every day's the same. There's a very mundane existence. And the fact that these two guys suddenly aren't speaking to each other, or there's ruptures in the friendship, that becomes then the new exciting thing that's happening in the village. Everybody talking about it. The people down the pub are talking about it. Oh, he's still not talking to you. And, it's like a point of conversation. Everybody's talking behind their backs. There was a really funny scene at the start where his sister, she's sitting in the house with the old woman, and they're just having a chat. And there's basically, some of the tittle-tattle comes out, and he's like, oh, you gonna told her? And then he says something to her that the sister said about the old woman, and they're all like, I didn't say that. Yes, you did. And it's sort of like gives it a talking point. It's something, it's very much small town mentality, isn't it? Something goes on and everybody's gassing about it because it's something new to talk about. So there's that element to it that's going on the whole time. There's obviously his dynamic with his sister. He lives with his sister. They're pretty much the same age. There's no mum and dad around. They've obviously grown to adulthood in the family home and are still living together, or even sleeping in the same bedroom, obviously separate beds and that. But you got this impression again from the sister. She's probably got more to give, if you know what I mean. You know what you're talking about. Colm's character being a little bit more philosophical. What am I doing? What's my purpose in the world? Well, Podrick's sister's also a little bit like that, and she's looking off to the mainland in a way like she needs to get off the island and get away from it all. So I thought with all that happening with the Civil War as well, I thought there was a commentary to be had there where you've got two close friends. They've been friends for many years, but they seem to almost fall out almost over nothing.
Yeah,
not to simplify the troubles too much and imply that it was all over nothing, but there was certainly that element of, hey, look, we've grown up together. We are one and the same. Why are we just not getting on like this?
But it is in a way exactly like that. It is a simplification, of course, and it's not that to get to. But there's always the stories about people in the troubles like that were friends on opposite sides of the street, and now they no longer talk. And stuff like that. And those kind of threads have always existed in these kind of situations, haven't they? And it is definitely a parallel towards that. It's like that on this small island, it's their civil war.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It does set up these little camps as well. Because then suddenly people are getting involved and on different sides, and there's different weaving. I hear you said this to him. Why are you doing that? Why are you talking to him? And all this is happening. And it's even almost like the different sides of the island. Obviously, when he goes down to the shop, which is near the docks, and the nosy old deer in the shop. Oh yeah,
she's a right busybody. She knows everyone's business.
She's a right Karen, isn't she? And she's there going, "What news have you got for me then? Oh, that's not as interesting as what happened on the other side of the island, And that all kicking off, and it's like, there's definitely like this divide across, and not to say it's like a big violent divide, but it's just clearly like a divisional point, isn't it?
Yeah. I think there's some similarities to be made there. That's why they sort of based it at that time. Because to be honest, with how things are in these rural communities, it could have been a modern day setting and you wouldn't have had to change too much.
No, not at all. Yeah,
people who live in these kind of communities, they like to keep things traditional, as they were. There's some great scenes in there, some really funny stuff. One that's struck me as hilarious is when they boat the priest in. He arrives by boat, and they haven't got a priest on the island. They have to bring him across from the mainland. Yeah, shipping him in. And there's this whole thing when he's coming over and he's like sat there on the boat. He's quite imperious character, and then he's there for confessional. Obviously, he does the mass and he does all the confessions. And that first confessional scene he has with Brendan Gleeson, I thought was hilarious.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I was laughing my ass off at that. That was a brilliant scene.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of scenes in there with the confessionals that he goes in, and it's so funny. It's kind of like not taken seriously at all by Brendan Gleeson's character, and ends up being hilarious. And the priest is certainly unprofessional. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very funny. There's so much humour throughout it, and it's not. Yeah. It's not like, oh, this is a comedy, so we're here to play it. It's very much a black comedy, and the humour comes from these subtleties in what they're saying to each other, which ends up being the kind of under the breath laughs, and but there's moments where you just burst out laughing of the ridiculousness of some of the things that are happening.
I mean, we'd be remiss not to mention Barry Keoghan in there. His performance was fantastic. He's almost like the village idiot, isn't he? I can't remember the exact expression they use, but that's basically his character. He's seen as the young fool of the town, and his dad is the local copper as well. And there's a funny scene at the start where him and Colin Farrell they get drinking, and after the pub's shut and they're kicked out, they go and try and steal his dad's poteen, his potato whiskey, and he takes him into the house, doesn't he? And the dad sat there in the chair naked, just asleep, but he's still got his copper's hat on.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And Colin Farrell's face just like, oh my God. Oh, geez, I was laughing at that. It was
so funny, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
I think Barry Keoghan's character was my favourite throughout the whole film. He is the village idiot. He is very simple, but he is so lovely.
Yeah. He's got a good heart.
Really good heart, really nice and it's actually my favourite performance in the film.
Yeah.
Because what's really interesting about his performance is he gets across the simplicity of the character, and that there's clearly something going on, almost like he's got like ADD or something like that, where he can't sit still. He's always looking around and can't look anyone in the eye. He's always moving, fidgeting, doesn't know what to say, and then says something that's so kind of like, you shouldn't say that, lad, kind of thing. But you feel so much for him.
Yeah.
And of course, by the end of the film, he is the character that has the tragic story, really.
Yeah.
And you feel so gutted by that. That's the one for me of it all, because everyone's fantastic, but that was the one I picked out as going, that was really good.
It's funny because he's like treated as the village idiot, but he also has moments of profundity, and he comes out with some stuff that he's like almost a genius, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'm reminded that where Podrick takes him home to have dinner with his sister, and she doesn't really want him there because, you know, he's got a bad reputation and he's always saying inappropriate things and whatnot. And there's some funny stuff that comes out there because he mentions some stuff that Podrick hasn't even got an idea, a clue about, you know, and it makes him seem like, you know, well, you might call him the village idiot, but he knows about this and you don't.
Well, because it was that funny thing, wasn't it? Because the whole thing about them being, you know, Colin Farrell's character thinks, is it because he's called simple or something like that by Brendan Gleeson's character, and he's always like, am I stupid? You know, I thought I was a nice guy, kind of thing. And then Barry Keoghan's character is like, he says something at the table, touche, I think it was, wasn't it? And he didn't even know what that meant, and he's like, oh, it's French, you know, and you're like, what? Who's the stupidest? We can't quite decide here.
Yeah.
But it's a lovely little dynamic between them all.
And you got the old woman that's like, she's, I suppose, represents the Banshee. She's supposed to be the sort of like soothsayer in a way, and she's sort of predicting, you know, bad portents for some of the characters and stuff. And so it's got a sort of mystical element about it, which you would expect with something like this, something so Irish, you know, and with the title itself, the Banshees of Inisherin, it's supposed to be, you know, it's supposed to have a little bit of that element in amongst the realism. I mean, Brendan Gleeson's character, he gets really morbid in the sense that he says to Podrick, if you don't stop talking to me, I'm going to start cutting off my fingers until you get it. To which he does. You know, it ends up that he's starting to lose digits, and at this point, it's like Van Gogh, isn't it, cutting off his ear? It's this kind of like tortured artist, but it goes to, you know, to the point where you're just thinking, this is ridiculous. Now, how's he going to play the fiddle now? He just ends up shaking it about instead, you know. And it's like you said, it's very dark, black humor.
It's in that tradition of in a lot of like the Irish comedy as well, in a way, isn't it? A lot of Irish cinema and stuff is that dark black humor that's on the current of it all, and it works really well. And there is extreme moments, of course, with the fingers and stuff that you just like, the hell.
So it's a very different film than In Bruges. In Bruges was kind of like a gangster thing. It was you know, quite singular in its own way. There weren't many gangster films like that. It takes place in Belgium, for fuck's sake, you know what I mean? It's very different in that sense. But I'd say, you know, it's got that sort of level of humor going for it. And, you know, it's great to see Gleeson and Farrell back together. You said you really enjoyed Barry Keoghan's performance, as did I. But for me, the star of the film was Colin Farrell. I love Colin Farrell anyway. He's done some great performances over the years. I think this is his best performance to date. He was just absolutely brilliant in it.
It was an extremely good performance from him. It is one of his best to date. I mean, when you mentioned that, I was thinking you were saying how he's getting better over time. You know, it just keeps on getting better. And obviously, we were impressed in the Batman with his performance as the Penguin.
Yeah,
and he is just constantly getting better and better.
It's just such a vulnerable performance. You know, that vulnerability of him being thrown out of all sorts because his best mate doesn't want to go for a pint with him, and it completely disrupts his life. And I just thought he did such a good job of, you know, externalizing the internal monologue that he's having. You know, he becomes a pain in the arse to his sister because he's complaining to her all the time, and like we said, he takes up with Barry Keoghan's character because he's got no one else to knock about with, and even the guys down the pub are laughing at him behind his back and stuff. And
he was able to contrast the weakness, because he's certainly not like a hard character.
No.
So he manages to contrast that weakness and the vulnerability with the kind of. He then jumps into something that, you know, as Barry Keoghan's character described as that's quite wicked. That's just like them, when he lies to this young lad about his dad is in hospital on the mainland, kind of thing. It becomes like quite a nasty thing he does out of spite and revenge. Yeah. And he manages to flip around these different emotional moments quite seamlessly, which it is a remarkable performance to do it.
Yeah.
And Brendan Gleeson's amazing in everything he does. So, you know, he's just going to turn up and do the job. You know. Oh
yeah, he was great. He was solid in it. But a really thoughtful film. It's, you know, works as a comedy, works as a drama. It's got some, you know, quite buried subtext in there, like we said, about the Irish Civil War and the situation over there. It's a comment on, you know, small town mentality or island mentality in this sort of sense. Them two were brilliant. Kerry Condon's brilliant as the sister. But brilliant cast, brilliant writing. And I'd love to see those three do another movie together in the future again. You know, make it a sort of unofficial trilogy. But brilliant. Absolutely brilliant film. So glad to have watched it.
Yeah, so am I. I thought it was superb. It's a very good film. One of the best of the ones I've watched in the last few months, to be honest. So it was really enjoyable and recommended. You know, for people who are into that kind of thing, just go watch it. It's really good.
Definite thumbs up. Definite. Okay, so last time we were on, we were saying that they were about to announce the Oscar nominations for 2023, the 95th Academy Awards, which is heading our way, I think, 12th of March. So not too long now, about a month away. We're on the 12th of February today as we record this. So we're a month away from it. And as we like to do every year, we go through some of the nominations, obviously not all of them, because some of the categories, there's so many categories, we couldn't go through them all, but we do the main ones, and we like to talk about it because we get excited about the Oscars. We get excited about it here. This is our Super Bowl.
I like to bet on the Super Bowl.
We usually cover the top six, the important six. So let's start from the bottom of that and go with. We'll start with Best Supporting Actor, shall we?
Now you will only be risking your lives, whilst I will be risking an almost certain Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor.
So, who have we got nominated here? We've got Brendan Gleeson's nominated for The Banshees of Inisherin, which we've just talked about.
Excellent.
Great performance. Barry Keoghan is also nominated for The Banshees of Inisherin, as we've just talked about. So, interesting nominations.
Yeah.
We've got Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway.
Okay.
Yet to see that.
Yes, we are. I don't really know too much about that film either, really. So that's one, you know, make a note of.
We've got Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans.
Yeah, Judge Hirsch, of course. He's not in that film much, to be honest. Not much screen time at all.
And then we've got Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Like we said last week, I think I just want to see him get it just because I just loved him since I was a kid. He's like, we've grown up with him, you know. Well, I have anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be lovely to see him get it. We've spoken about this in length before. Go check out our previous podcast about Everything Everywhere All at Once. But I've not seen The Fabelmans, but I haven't heard great things about it. Not seen Causeway, so I can't really judge that. But out of that collection I'm looking at, I'm thinking, yeah, let's give it to our boy.
I'd be happy with Ke Huy Quan, Barry Keoghan probably as after that. I'd be glad to see him get it, and then probably Brendan Gleeson again after that. Any of those three guys get it, I'll be happy with that. Like you said, we haven't seen Causeway yet, so it's unfair to sort of not consider that guy, but we've got to get around to that one.
Yeah, and we will get round to it, but I agree with that. That's my summation at that at this point. Let's jump into Best Supporting Actress.
Best Supporting Actress, so.
So we got Angela Bassett for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Haven't seen it. I was not a massive fan of the original Black Panther. It was okay, but it was middle of the road Marvel movie for me. It was all right.
Yeah, I mean, I've not seen either of the Black Panther films, but my instant reaction to that is there that much good acting in a Marvel film?
Well, Angela Bassett's great.
We've also got Hong Chow for The Whale.
Haven't seen it yet. We're dying to see that film.
We're dying to see The Whale. We haven't seen it yet.
Not out over here yet, though.
But we're dying to see that. So that's kind of like, we don't know yet. We've got Kerry Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin, as we've just talked about. Fabulous performance.
Very, very good performance. Very strong. Really liked her in it.
And then we've got Stephanie Sue from Everything Everywhere All at Once, who played Joy.
She was brilliant. I'd like to see her get it.
And Jamie Lee Curtis.
Also brilliant in it, but I say give it to the youngster.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis is a babe, and I love her to pieces, but I'd love to see Joy win it.
Yeah, because she's so young as well. I think an Oscar at this point in her career would serve her well. It opens so many doors, doesn't it? Even the nomination will itself, but if she gets it, it'll guarantee some big roles for her.
And it was a great performance.
It was so funny. She was like ass kicker to the max,
And she had to do so much.
Yeah.
All the different costumes and scenarios. It was a wide-reaching performance, wasn't it?
It was really impressive. Brilliant.
So yeah, I think at the moment I'm going for her.
Yeah, Kerry Condon or her. Failing either of those two, definitely Jamie Lee Curtis.
So let's jump into Best Actor.
Oscar, Best Actor.
So the first nomination is the man who won. Was it the Golden Globes? And that's Austin Butler.
Okay.
For Elvis.
Yeah, we enjoyed Elvis.
Very good performance.
Very good.
We'll see. This is going to be the one that's interesting because different people have won the different. Usually you see the same people winning the same award throughout all different ceremonies, and this has not happened in the Best Actor one yet for various reasons. Okay. We got Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin.
Kind of tempted now. I've seen it.
Tempting. We've got Brendan Fraser for The Whale. Now,
this is
not seen it yet, so I can't judge it.
Bucky's favourite, maybe? Would you say?
It's definitely the Bucky's favourite. I think probably. There's a lot of pushing for it online, and everyone loves the guy. I've not seen the film, so I can't judge personally. But from everything I've heard, it's very good. He's won some of the awards, but he didn't win the Golden Globes. And that's the controversial bit we mentioned last week.
Last time I won the Critics' Choice Award for Best Actor, but. Yeah,
and I think he's won a couple more since.
I think so.
Like the smaller ones. So that'll be interesting. We've got Paul Mescal for After Sun.
Want to see that film? Haven't seen it yet. Got it there to watch. It's queued up, but haven't seen it yet. I'm excited to see it. I don't know much about it, but it's intriguing. Yeah.
And then we got Bill Nighy for Living, which I don't really know anything about.
Don't know about the film. No. I know Bill Nighy, but
yes, of course, and Bill Nighy's been around the block many times. Many times. So kind of looking at that and going, I don't really know at the minute.
No.
And it'll be interesting where it really goes, because we've had the different directions that different award ceremonies have gone with
How
this.
could they not include Tom Cruise's performance?
Just want to manage expectations.
I've got the need. The need for speed.
Need for an Oscar.
So I think that's going to be possibly the most interesting category of what direction it goes in.
Okay.
I mean, separate from the performances, I'd love to see Brendan Fraser win, because it's Brendan Fraser.
Well, because I haven't seen it yet, I'll hold judgment there. But
exactly,
the ones I have seen so far, I mean, Colin Farrell, I thought he was just so good in that Banshees of Inisherin. I'd be made up if he won it. But there's a part of me as well that I want to see The Whale first. But if it's as good as everybody's making out, and as we've discussed about, he's so lovable, Brendan Fraser. It'd be great to see him win an Oscar. Absolutely great.
Okay then, so let's jump into Best Actress.
That Judi Dench has never won the Oscar for Best Actress.
We've got Cate Blanchett for Tar.
Have seen that. She was amazing in it. It is an Oscar-worthy performance for sure.
I've not to see it yet, but I've heard fantastic things, especially from yourself. So, could very well be a contender.
I mean, Cate Blanchett, she just...
Wow, legend, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. She can't do anything except excel.
We got Ana de Armas for Blonde.
I like her, and I thought, she did her best with the material. Nothing against Ana de Armas, but nah.
We've got Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie.
Don't know the film.
Yet to see that. I don't really know much about it either. But
no, me either.
I've got it stacked to watch.
It's the one where she's won the lottery and then she just sort of spunks all the money straight away. It's like a sort of drama. Andrea Riseborough's pretty cool though.
We got Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans.
Yeah, I watched her on Graham Norton in the same episode as Brendan Fraser was on. She came across really well. She's a really cool person, really funny, really excellent. She's been around for years. In all sorts of roles. And you think, oh yeah, I remember her in this now and that. But, I found it hard at first to think, what have I seen her in? And then it was like, went through the list and it was like, oh yeah, she's in this, she's in that.
I know her, yes, from Shutter Island.
There you go. Shutter Island's one. She plays the mum. So,
right,
Spielberg's mum basically in it, even though it's they changed all the names and stuff. Good performance of all of that film. She was probably the standout thing about it, I thought, in terms of performance. So, good luck to her if she gets it. Fair enough.
And then we got Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh's got my vote. I want her to win.
That's my vote as well. Come on, Michelle.
Yes, come on, Michelle.
Let's let Everything Everywhere All at Once steal everything. I love it.
Why not? You love a good, what do they call it? A landslide.
Landslide. Let it do a Lord of the Rings and steal everything.
Absolutely.
So that's our performances. So then we move on to the big two. We've got
Best Director.
Best Director.
May I say, Mr. Weintraub, that you are the best producer.
Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin, which is a strong shout.
Definitely.
We've got Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans.
Mm-hmm. He's won one before.
He's won them before, but interestingly, of course, he picked it up in the Golden Globes.
He did,
I believe,
as we talked about last week.
So that'll be interesting. Todd Field for Tar.
Okay.
we've got Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness.
I haven't seen that film yet.
That's the first time it's appeared as we talk about it. It's been touted around. We've yet to see it.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of things about it. Somebody said to me it's a little bit like The Menu. Whether it is or not, I don't know. But it takes place on a boat. There's a bit of a, crew of dastardly characters, and something nefarious happens. I think. I'm not sure. I might be talking out my arse, but
satirical black comedy, so it seems like it might be along the Menu lines. Yeah,
it's going to take some beating to be as good as The Menu.
Wow, that's surprising. I mean, not seen that appear anywhere. I don't know, maybe
it's there. It's there to be. It's queued up to be watched, but we haven't got around to it yet.
And then, of course, the Daniels, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert.
Yeah.
For Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I think they should get it.
Yeah, definitely.
They've done such a great job with that film.
I'd like to. It's either them or Martin McDonagh in my mind at the moment. Because
so far,
Banshees was great. But it'd be nice to see those get it because they're only young guys in their 30s.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting. I think it'd be the first time in a while, if not a first time ever, where Best Director would be a shared
nom. Yeah. And it also, I think it's well deserved, I think, for what they pulled off with the budget they had,
Well, considering the budget and considering as well, it's so spectacular in its stunt work, special effects, action, all of that, yes. But also in pulling out those really emotional performances from everyone and creating a film of substance that doesn't fit so easily in the category of action and comedy and all this. It's got so much more to it. I think it's a crowning achievement, and if they don't win it, fists will be flying.
If you want to throw down in fisticuffs, fine. I've got Jack Johnson and Tom O'Leary waiting for you, right here.
And so then we come on to the most important category of them all. Best Picture.
Guaranteed Best Picture for me, and I want it.
So we've got, let's go through some of these. All Quiet on the Western Front.
Hell of a film. Got to get you to watch it. It is...
Queued up for me to watch. I'm looking forward to watching it.
I said to somebody online, it makes 1917 look like a Disney film. It does. It really does.
That's a great description. We've got Avatar: The Way of Water. No, thank you.
No, thanks.
If Next. I want to see Free Willy performed by Smurfs, I'd go somewhere else. We've got the Banshees of Inisherin.
Definitely a contender.
Certainly a contender.
It's funny because we had we had all those nominations for Banshees of Inisherin and in the other awards as well. And before we seen it, that was the one thing you think, well, it must be good if it's getting the nominations.
Yeah.
But now I've seen it, it's like, yeah, I understand why.
Now I understand why, yeah.
And I'm really, apart from Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I'm total, I'm totally behind that movie for everything, but Banshees is my substitute film. It's like, if that wins in place on any of these categories, I'll be really happy.
They'll accept it, yeah.
It's brilliant, yeah. Sorry, Elvis was in there, yeah?
Elvis next, yeah.
Great film. Don't think it'll win, though. I'll be surprised if it does.
I would be surprised because it was a good film and enjoyable, but I don't think it's Best Picture material,
Well, I'd say it's worthy of a nomination, but I don't think it's as strong as some of these other.
It's worthy of being nominated and talked about. I agree with that, but not to win it. I mean,
sorry, Baz, you ain't gonna win.
Then we've got Everything Everywhere All at Once, and we know this is our pick. This is the one. Let's go. Then we've got The Fabelmans, which has already picked up awards on the kind of awards circuit. So
I'll be throwing something at the TV if it wins, just because it's not that bad. I love Spielberg. I absolutely adore him, but it's not his greatest film.
I've yet to see it. I've got to go and watch it, but I've not heard.
Yeah, I don't want to put you off seeing it. It's definitely worth watching, but it's just, it's Steven Spielberg, for fuck's sake. He's made Schindler's List. He made Saving Private Ryan. He made Jaws. He made Indiana Jones. It's like, this is one of the greatest directors ever. I would say Bridge of Spies is a better film than The Fabelmans.
I think this is the thing. It's like, I will watch it, and but everyone I've spoken to, it's all right. It's not special, and I think that's where it lies. And
I think because it's the film of his life as well, it's possibly a little bit overindulgent in some respects, and he's probably suffering from George Lucas syndrome, where there's not enough people to say no, Stephen, don't do that. They're just all going yes.
Then we got Tar.
Great film. I don't think it'll win though. It's a great film, but I don't see it as a winner.
It's had a bit of a controversial reaction in some circles, hasn't it?
Yeah, there's a bit of a divide there because, see the film and you'll see why.
Yeah. Then we've got Top Gun Maverick, which was the surprise entry into this list.
If that wins, I will eat my microphone, I tell you now.
If that wins, I will strip naked and run down the street.
Imagine it did. That would be like almost equivalent to the Will Smith slap.
Oh, wow.
The thing is, if that wins, that changes the Oscars forever.
Well,
doesn't it?
If that wins, I think it's time for, pack down the tent. There won't be a 96 the kind of awards. Not that it's got, if it wins in like stunt work or something like that, with
absolutely,
a technical category, then I'm all behind it because it was impressive in that sense. But it's not a best film.
I thoroughly enjoyed the film. It was really great fun and all the different things about it. But it's not. It's not high art. No. It's like it's popcorn.
It's just not that good. I don't even think it has to be high art. But if you're measuring it against Elvis, no, it's not.
No,
if you're measuring it against Everything Everywhere All at Once, definitely not. I would say Banshees of Inisherin is a much better film in terms of its impact and its quality. But at the same time, though, it's good for people, the people who love Top Gun, who love action movies and love stuff like that. It's nice, I suppose, for them to see a nomination for that kind of film, not be completely snubbed.
This is why they spoke about, and I think we've mentioned this before, they've spoken about introducing another category, haven't they, about like
best box
office movie
banger.
Or something, yeah. And
mention that, and the nominations for best box office banger goes to
Die Hard 6,
Mission Impossible 9.
In some ways, that might be nice to give some recognition to it. I don't know. It's an interesting
let them have their own little category. Then.
Yeah, but it's kind of like,
where do you draw the line? Though, are you going to have a category just for superhero films as well?
Well, this is the interesting
superhero
question.
Movie goes to,
because it's like it was a good film, and it was another action movie that comes out in the summer, blockbuster. It was better than the ones we've had in recent years.
Yeah.
But does that make it?
No. Well, I feel the same. Like it's like if the Batman was nominated, it's like, well, it was a good film, but I don't really think it should win the best film in the Oscars because it's the Batman.
Yeah,
it's Top Gun. Come on, bunch of dudes flying planes.
Then we've got Triangle of Sadness, which we've yet to see. We just mentioned, so one to have a look at.
Interested in that. It's supposed to be a very good film.
It is, and the last one is a film which we've not even mentioned yet. This is the first time I've seen it in the list. Women Talking, which is a very different film by the sounds of it. Directed by Sarah Polley, inspired by the real-life events that occurred at Manitoba Colony on a remote, isolated island in Bolivia.
Okay. That sounds like, just from what you've read, a Oscar type film, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, gonna have to look into that one and see it then beforehand.
Yeah,
don't know about that one either. So there's a couple there that we've
that we need to see before we're making a judgment.
Today, yeah, for sure.
But I'm still, at this present time, everything everywhere all at once. Come on.
Come on. Well, there we go, Dave. I think that pretty much wraps us up for episode number 56. You can catch up with all our podcast episodes via our website, of which has got lots of film reviews, articles, loads of stuff on there. That's moremovies.co.uk. Obviously, we're on social media as well, at More Movies For You. So if you want to come and have a chat with us.
Absolutely. And if you enjoy what we're doing and you'd like to support us, why not jump over to Buy Me a Coffee, or jump over to Patreon and become a patron. You can donate to us there and subscribe. And we really appreciate all your support on those platforms.
Well, there we go, Dave. That's another week all done and dusted. Any final thoughts before we toddle off and go and have a pint down the pub? Because it's 2:00, see.
Well, let's just go have a pint down the pub, but you know, you're fucking boring me.
Well, next week it'll just be me on the podcast, as Dave has disowned me and he's
got a finger missing.
Yeah, concentrating all his powers on writing his latest ditty, the Witches of Barry Island. Thanks again for joining us. I hope you can join us again for some more movies action. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Did I say that right? Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. And that's it. We'll see you again. And in between, keep watching more movies. Well, that's it for this video. Please leave us a comment and let us know what you thought. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe right here on YouTube. To check out more of our articles and reviews, check out our website, moremovies.co.uk. And why not join us on social media? That's at More Movies For You across the board. You know the score. And if you'd like to support us, consider buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com, or you can become a More Movies patron over on patreon.com. All the links are in the description below. And to check out more of our filmtastic videos, click one of the buttons on screen now.